Okay, we're going to try this exam question. And this particular exam question we've got here, we were just talking about this. And we were saying, we've got this equation here. Did you notice how it was with z rather than with x? Why do you think it might be with z instead of x?
Imagine for complex, it will have two complex roots.
Yeah, there's probably going to be some complex roots with this equation because that's why they've got z. If it's with x, usually they're real roots. They could be complex. But this is implying that I'm expecting there to be some complex roots at some points, which is just worth noticing. And it says that p and q are real constants, so they're not integers or anything necessarily. And it says, given that the equation has got these roots, we've got alpha, 5 over alpha, and then alpha plus 5 over alpha minus 1, solve completely the equation f of z equals 0. Now what I like to do is I like to remind myself that these ones here are the sum of the roots. These ones are to do with the sum of the pairs, and the last one is the roots all multiplied together. And does it go with b over a first or minus b over a? So this is going to be our minus b over a, c over a, and then minus d over a. I don't know why, I just like writing them above the equation and below the equation. It's just, for me, quite like a visual representation of what's going on. And so if we're going to try and solve the equation, we said that we were going to have a look at one part of it, which was better than the other one. Which one did we just say was better?
Minus b over a.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to look at this section here because the other ones include p and q and they're just going to get in the way, so there's no point in looking at them because we're just going to get an equation that is equal to p or something that's equal to q over a. So we're actually going to use that bit that we've got there. We know that the sum of the roots is equal to minus d over a. So the sum of the, sorry, not the sum of the roots, the product of the roots. So we're going to have alpha multiplied by 5 over alpha multiplied by alpha plus 5 over alpha minus 1 is equal to minus d, well, that's going to be 15, over a, which is 1. So it's just equal to 15. And then this is where we want to do the expanding of brackets really carefully. Now we've got three things being multiplied, and remember with multiplication, you can multiply things in any order. So out of those three things, which are the best ones to multiply together first? The first two. What is alpha multiplied by 5 over alpha? 5, because the alpha here and the alpha here cancels. And so then the next stage I'm going to do is multiply the 5 by what we've got inside the brackets. What would that be when I expand those brackets out, Theo?
5 alpha
Yep.
plus 25 over alpha minus 5.
Minus 5. And I'm also going to subtract the 15 and say that that is equal to 0, like this. So we have 5 alpha plus 25 over alpha minus 20 is equal to 0. What kind of equation is this? It's a polynomial sort of equation, but there's something that needs to be done to it first of all before we can solve it. We need to times everything by alpha. This is actually a kind of quadratic, like in disguise. So I would have 5 alpha squared. I'm going to just put this next bit here. I'm going to do the 20 times alpha, and I'm going to write that next because then I have minus 20 alpha. And this multiplied by alpha is 25, which is equal to 0. And then you could either solve that using completing the square method or whatever method you like, but they know that you're expected to use calculators. So you can put this straight into your calculator, and it will give you the two roots. And we're going to talk about what those two roots will be because it's just interesting. Is it going to give us alpha? Is it going to give us 5 over alpha? Or is it going to give us this one here? We don't really know which ones it's going to give us, and we'll see how that goes. Yep.
Do you use rulers?
No. There might be some in the cupboard, but I don't think so. Yeah. So what are the roots that this gives you?
2 plus I.
Yep.
Right, I'll see what I can find.
2.
Minus I.
It gives you 2 plus and minus I. It gives you these two different options for alpha. So two of the roots we've now got are 2 plus and minus I. Well, that's really strange because that's what alpha is equal to, and it looks like we've got these three roots here. So we should try and figure out what the roots are. So I'm going to say if alpha is 2 plus I, let's work out what the next root is so that we can solve the equation. Let's do 5 divided by alpha. Now you can either do that manually by realizing the denominator of doing 5 divided by 2 plus I, or we can just put that on our calculator. So if we do 5 divided by 2 plus I on our calculators, Any predictions of what the answer might be?
2 minus I.
2 minus I. So that's pretty good, okay? It now means that these two that we've got here, it doesn't matter which way round we put them, they're going to be those two roots together. So if I said that alpha was 2 minus I, obviously 5 divided by alpha is going to be 2 plus I. So we've got those two root pairs there. Yes?
So do we then know that alpha and 5 over alpha cancel out, so the final will just equal minus 1?
They don't cancel out. Be really careful because
well,
they
they counteract each other.
Yeah, but what bit cancels out?
Then you add the real parts.
Exactly. So you add the root. So they don't cancel out. That was the thing that was the confusion there. The imaginary parts will cancel out. So our last root is going to be alpha plus 5 over alpha minus 1, which is clearly just going to be 2 plus I plus 2 minus I minus 1, which is 3. So the solutions to the equation, or the roots, are 2 plus I, 2 minus I, and 3. I quite like that though. It's just something I really like about the fact that you think, you're like, oh, but I found out alpha, I don't know which one alpha is. And actually it doesn't matter whichever of those roots is that you're going to do. Okay? So let's now go on to the second part of the question, which says, hence find the value of P. So P is in this first section that we've got here, and P is to do with the sum of the roots, okay? So we know that the sum of the roots equals minus B over A. So I'm just going to write that down for part B of the question, that the sum of the roots is equal to minus B over A, and our roots are 2 plus I plus 2 minus I plus 3. And minus B over A is what? Minus P. So then we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is minus P, and so P is minus 7. So it's much simpler to decide from the beginning of the question which of these are the best starting points for us to do. We selected the one that I've highlighted in orange. And then for part B of the question, to find the value of P, we decided that we were only going to look at the sum of the roots. And actually we avoided the sum of the pairs because the sum of the pairs is sort of the longest one of those ones that we've got. Let's just compare that to the mark scheme and see what we've got. So they've got the same thing of the 3 roots being multiplied to get 15. They've got solving the equation in here, but really it's just this method of getting to either the quadratic and then solving the quadratic, but you can use a calculator. And then we've got the roots and then just the 3 roots here. And then they've got the sum of the roots and making it equal to minus 7. There are other ways of doing that bit, but I think using the sum of the roots is the best way to do it, okay?